Hello there and welcome to Tom's Warhammer Minis. It's time to enter Warhammer Quest Darkwater. The Mire Kelpies swarm all over the Jade Abbey's ruins like flies on rotten meat. They are cursed spirits that are born from lands soured by the corruption of chaos. In this guide, I'll showcase how to easily and quickly paint them up as well as the treasure tokens. And it's all done with speed and an incredible looking finish. Put simply, it's important that these are showcased first as they are essential when it comes down to learning to play this awesome new game. So, grab your paints, grab your brushes, let's get hobbying. And we're going to begin with this tutorial. We're going to be focusing on two different things here, all in one video. We've got the Mire Kelpies to the right, we've got our treasure tokens to the left. Those sort of areas of interest that are going to be vital in every single game of Darkwater that we play, as well as our most common type of foe that just likes to go splat. So, I'm just going to talk very briefly before we begin the tutorial. Things of note, the bases are already textured. I've applied Sterling mud if that's what you want to copy to. It just makes my whole painting experience a lot quicker by getting it straight on there as soon as I built them and primed them. Now the primer is White Scar. I want that bright, vivid, bold finish. Now the tokens are going to match with the box art. There's going to be no real variation to that. The Mire Kelpie is going to be slightly different. They're going to be very similar to the box art, but we got 3 styles, 2 of each, 6 in total. So 3 of them are going to be one style of colour. The other 3 the other equal variant is going to be a slightly alternative take, just to create and showcase something a little bit different, make them look a bit more interesting. So with that out of the way, let's get painting. And we're going to get started with that overall colour that we see on these little kelpies. They are absolutely gorgeous. It's really simple to do. The colour essentially is verdigris, but we're not just going down the Nihilakh Oxide route. If you've seen my tutorials, you know exactly what this mix is going to be. We're going to take Nihilakh Oxide, we're going to turn it into a contrast paint, matching that colour, and just apply it straight over. So nice and simple. The colour mix is roughly 3 parts of Briar Queen Chill to 1 part as a ratio of Nihilakh Oxide. Now essentially they're identical in colour, however there's a strength to this that gets out of control. The Briar Queen Chill takes this paint, gives you control, matches the colour, turns it into a contrast paint. It is a really cool effective look, as you can see, and it matches the box art exactly. So what I'm going to be doing here, essentially it's all over the slime, which is pretty much 90% of the body, apart from the horns, which is going to be obviously skeleton horde. I'm going to do 2 different tones in the next step. Essentially, I'm going to put a shade paint over them. We've got some leaves to pick out as well, but that's separate. We're going to put a shade paint over one set. That's going to be one colour. A shade paint over the other. There's going to be subtle tints of this colour type. So just very slight different variations that look really cool. So, paint that on. As a reminder, 3 parts Briar Queen Chill, 1 part Nihilakh Oxide. Let it dry, we'll move on to the next step. So next up, I'm going to apply a shade paint. As I said, we've got 3 variants, 2 of each. Nice and simple. So we can just have a little play around just to make them ever so subtly different, but also so very similar. And just a simple shade paint difference really goes a long way here. So we're going to go with the one on the left, we're going to go on one on the right, and essentially for the other 2 variants, I've done exactly the same. Each have got 1 each of these colours. So nice and simple, we're not filling anything down here. This style is just simply Poxwalker. Just paint it straight over and let it settle into those recesses. For the other one, nice and simple, the exact same style, we're just painting it straight over. Mortarian Grime. This one is much more matching the box art, but it's nice just to have a little variant. So I'll show them together again just to give you a little sort of taste of what they're like. Poxwalker is this one, Mortarian Grime is this one. Now you do have these little leaves. I am going to pick them out to be quite sort of, vivid and actually showcase them. You can shade straight over them. It's going to make no difference at this stage. Obviously just being careful to avoid what will be the skeleton horde. Gairan is the realm of life, and it offers us many painting opportunities, especially when it comes to Nurgle and how we portray life, and as well as we portray sort of pestilence and death. Now, the Mire Kelpie are rather unique in that they've got this little leaf patterning, which, when you look at the box art, it's not really painted. It's a kind of blend of the exact same colour of their flesh, or slime, whatever you want to call it. What I want to do here is portray the potential that we can do. Gairan, it is in existence. If you read the lore of Darkwater, it is alive. You know, the whole point is Nurgle is trying to destroy it. So we can take opportunity, and I'm doing seasons here, potentially really just summer and autumn. So we're going to have some green leaves, some orange leaves, or yellowy leaves, and some red leaves. Nice and simple. Now obviously you could do brown, you could do orange, but I've just gone green, yellow and red. The colours are nice and simple. Just paint straight over. Green is orc flesh. Our yellow leaves are Nazdreg yellow. And lastly, our red leaves are nice and simple. Blood Angels red. And it's up to you if you want to copy that or do your own style, or even just leave it blank like the Heavy Metal team's done and just have it into this sort of slime colour. In the sense, you could just tint it with a bit of Beltane green or add Nurgle's Rot. There is just so much potential you can do here. But that's what I've opted for. In the sense, when it comes to highlighting, I'm just going to do one overall dry brush that just blends it all together really nicely, but with those colours still showing through. So, let that dry, we'll move on to the next step. Next up, nice and simple, we're going to paint all of those bone details. There's only real one colour here, it's Skeleton Horde. Just nice and simple, start at the top of the horns, work your way down, obviously check for pooling. I do find, not that you can see it here, but it does tend to pool here, so just keep an eye on that, just move the paint around, wipe off any excess, and just keep a good eye on it. So nice and simple, get that done, and we'll let it dry. Next up, we're going to do some further shading. Now, for our Skeleton Horde details, we just kind of want to enrich them further with a slightly warm brown. The colour is going to be Reikland Fleshshade. Nice and simple, wait for the Skeleton Horde to completely dry and just shade this entirely over. Once again, keeping an eye for pooling. More so now because the shade paint is a lot thinner. We also need to shade our Sterling Mud, assuming that you're copying that. And if you are, the colour I've used is Agrak's Earthshade. Now, when it comes to highlighting, I'm going to do one overall colour. So once again, it should be obvious, but just to say it, let it completely dry. Don't dry brush anything until the whole model is completely dry, otherwise you're going to spoil the details. And we're going to finish off our Mire Kelpies. It's going to be a nice, simple dry brush that's going over everything. So to begin with, just Pallid Witch Flesh. This includes the bone, the slime, the base, you name it, you dry brush it. Nice and simple, it just ties the colours together really neatly, really nicely, and just finishes off the model. Of course, we want to work on the base. I have used that mix that we created earlier, the Nihilakh Oxide and Briar Queen Chill, just to do odd drops around, as well as adding drops of Nurgle's Rot. Nice and simple. The only thing we need to do here is do the base, which I've already done. For me, I like to go with Abaddon Black, and we can just add a couple of tufts too, just to really finish off that model. Now, with them done, I'm going to put those to the side and we're going to work on the treasure tokens. Starting with our treasure token, we're going to this one first with the tentacle arm holding the axe blade upside down. Now, nice and simply, before we do the skin tone, this is the one that has the real different variation, and that's this orange that we're seeing here. Now, the eye is red, we're going to build up to that effect, but the rest of it we want to remain in this very light toned orange, and it's just simply pure Fugan orange. Just simply paint it on as if it was a contrast paint as a base coat. Nice and simple, check for pooling. The only real area I found at the bottom of this sort of fleshy tentacle, it did pool slightly there. Obviously I've moved that away, just keep an eye on it. So nice and simple, get that done, and we'll move on to the next step. So next up, we're going to create two different skin tones, mainly this green one, and then we've got one variant that we do see on the box art. So nice and simple, to begin with, we're going to talk about the green variant. So I'll show it on the other ones in a second, but essentially we're going to create a mix. It's 2 parts Mantis Warriors Green, 2 parts Gut Ripper Flesh. So the Mantis Warriors Green is going to give us the toxicity, this is going to give us the flesh tone, which combines really nicely together. And you want roughly 1 part of Lamy Medium, just to help with the flow. And nice and simply, just paint it over the skin. Just to show a couple of other examples of that one. So that's pretty much most of the model there. Obviously avoiding the eye. Same for this one. Just avoiding the top tentacles and the skull. Our alternative skin tone, which we see on this one. A bit like the box art that we see that the Heavy Metal team has done. We're just going to simply take Agos Dunes and paint that straight on. Once again, avoiding those top tentacles and the skull. Other than that, my other paint that we need to focus on is just to do the little soil. Obviously, we've applied the sterling mud to the bases. These little trinkets do have a little bit of soil, and we just simply paint Sigil brown. It's very similar in tone, matching to the sterling mud. I'll just show on this one. So get those details done and we'll move on to the next step. Next up, we're going to take Skeleton Horde, and we've got this over a few select different details. So we're going to start with this token here. Nice and simply, I'm doing it as an underlayer on the mushrooms. You've got the main rope sort of bindings around his axe blade. Nice and simple. You've got a skull hidden underneath. That's all we're putting on for that one. For these two, it's nice and simple. You've got those top little tentacles, which again are going to act as an underlayer. And then you've got the actual main skull itself. So just take your time, apply that on, and let it dry. Next up, we're going to take Garagak Sewer. Now, nice and simply, we've just got a few select details. The one that we did in Agros Dunes is exactly the same as the one you're seeing here. So we're going to start on this one, paint over the mushrooms, paint over the little grass that we see here, to give it that kind of old decayed look. Nice and simple. For this one, we're taking the Garagak Sewer, doing it over the tentacles, over the sort of mushy part of the skull, where they sort of veins are sort of holding it up together. Nice and simple. And like I said, the one that's in Agros Dunes, exactly the same. So, get that done, and we'll let it dry. Next up, we're just going to focus solely on this trinket. We've got the wood to do, we're going to tint the eye a little bit more. So starting with the wood, we're just going to simply paint it in Wildwood. Now I do find it's quite a sort of translucent paint where it's absolutely great for this kind of effect. But when you've got these edges here, they will really chip off. So, let it fully dry. We're not going to quite varnish it, but we're going to use a shade paint, which will just seal the paint down that little bit more and just prevent a little bit of chipping. And the shade is Agrak Surf Shade. So nice and simply over the wood, and obviously over the sterling mud like we did with the Mire Kelpies, which is again done on all the models. Now for our eye, it's nice and simple. We just want to tint it slightly red, but not going too much, because we want a sort of nice sort of tone of the orange that's sort of bleeding through. Just Berserker Blood Shade. It's nice and simple as that. Just paint it straight on, let it settle into the recesses. Next up, we've got a whole host of different things we're doing here, from tinting to more base coating and pretty much finishing off the base coat colours, apart from the metallic details. So to begin with, we're focusing on this treasure token, and we're going for this sort of glazed over eye that's not quite there. It's almost blind, but not quite blind. Now we can easily achieve that in just a couple of select ways. To begin with, we're going to take pure Apothecary White and just paint a nice even layer of it over. Simply just going to tint the white scar and just settle into the recesses. Now let that completely dry. Once it is, go back to Apothecary White. We don't want to overload the brush where it's too dark. We just want it just to move around, just to create a kind of pupil that's glazed over. We're creating this sort of blind look that the heavy metal team have created. Really nice and simple. This is the colour consistency you want. Don't worry about the white dot, because that is a highlight. We'll come to that in a second. But we just want that kind of consistency where it's not too dark, not too light. Goldilocks principle, it's just right. So, get that done. And we'll put that to the side. We're going to go to the other eye next. Nice and simply, we're going to take, for this eye, a small dot of Abaddon Black. And then just in the centre, once it's dry, a small dot of white scar. Now keeping the white scar to hand, we're doing the exact same on this eye. We're just dotting it ever so slightly. Now moving on from that, we're going to do a bit of shading. For all of our green skin, we're going to take Poxwalker. Nice and simple, shade it straight over. But we're not just doing it for the green skin. For the Agros Dunes, we're going to apply it straight over that. It just gives it a slightly more greenish, sicker tint. And it also helps us to differentiate between the skull colour and the Agros Dunes, which is very similar in tone, but obviously it's just a little bit subtly different, and this just helps it that little bit further. Moving on from that, we're going to take Caribou Crimson. Nice and simple. We're going to paint it over the lips of this model. We've got the lips of this model, or the eyelids. And then for our little treasure tokens here, I've just literally applied it just as a sort of recessed shade straight over the little spiky bits. And this is on both of those models. Nice and simple. Let that dry, and then we'll move on to highlighting them. Next up, nice and simply, we're going to finish off all this stuff that we've painted so far. So just like the Mire Kelpies, we're going to take Pallid Witch Flesh and just simply dry brush it all over. So this is the entirety of every colour we've painted so far, as well as the base. And just to show the other one, essentially at this stage, these two are completely done. All you need to do now for them is just add some tufts. Obviously, I'll talk about the base in a second. It's exactly the same as the Mire Kelpies. And here's the other two, completely dry brushed. Nice and simple. Now, we've got the eyes. We're going to finish those off now. Nice and simple. We want them to look wet and shiny. Simply, I'm used R coat here. Any gloss varnish will do. It just gives it that wet look, which is exactly what we want for Nurgle. Now for the bases, nice and simple. If you've forgotten with the Mire Kelpies, first of all, it was that verdigris colour where it was 3 parts Briar Queen Chill and 1 part Nihilakh Oxide. Again, just keeping it nice and random, just little dots sporadically around the base. And then obviously the green, classic Nurgle's Rot. Just to show the other one, what it looks like at this stage. Nice and simple, and again, obviously this eye has also got the gloss varnish. All we need to do now for these two is the metallic details. Next up, nice and simply, we're going to base coat, shade and highlight our metallic details, thus finishing the model. So to begin with, for our gold detail, and this is just the sword handle and grip, it is Retributor armor. For our silver details, we're going nice and classic with Iron Warriors. So, obviously, let those metallic details dry. Once they're done, we're going to shade them, and this is an all-over wash, just of Agrax Earthshade, both the gold and the silver. We want a kind of dirty, grungy vibe. After all, it's Nurgle. Next up, we need to then highlight our metallic details, and the colour here for our silver is going to be Iron Breaker, just simple classic edge highlighting, and for our gold, Liberator Gold. And lastly, the final piece, just for this treasure token alone, we've got the little teeth, and it's worth just picking them out because the Pallid Witch Flesh might not just, pick them out enough, and we don't want to heavily dry brush where we chip the actual paintwork we've done, and we don't want to blot out so many details with heavy amounts of Pallid Witch Flesh. So, just take a small amount of Screaming Skull and just simply paint it over the teeth like a base coat. Nice and simple, just adds a finishing touch, and with that, our models are complete. If you haven't done the base rim, obviously don't forget to do that, make it nice and neat. And then we can just add a couple of tufts just to finish off those models. And there we have it, the Mire Kelpies, the little tokens, they are all complete. And they're just absolutely adorable, fantastic little assets to that box set. Obviously, it's quite important getting the Mire Kelpies done first in that sense. They're the first opponent you're going to get on the tabletop. For that little demo game, they're the first kind of encounters you'll find anyway. It just makes sense getting them done first, and they are absolutely adorable and easy to paint. As are the tokens, they're just really nice little enhancers to that game. Now, if this video has helped and inspired, then please show that hobby love. Give the video a like, share it so others can find the video, find my channel, and get supported in painting their models too. There's so much on this channel, and it's only ever growing. And there's going to be a lot of Darkwater stuff coming too. And if you haven't subscribed, then please do so. It's that support that helps the channel grow. And equally, supporting me means I get to do something wonderful. And that's support you, the awesome Warhammer community. So, until the next video, do look after yourselves, and happy hobbying.